All right, so I'm kind of starting at the tail end of things. We had already done this install for a vacation we took, and we had this with us. So at this point here, I'm kind of going over some of the parts I missed and starting around. So to finish this up here, where this thing bolts together and goes on, you got your final bolt coming in up underneath this part here that gets removed. When you watch the rest of the video, that'll make a little bit more sense, but as it's coming up, that's what it's gonna look like on the install. When it comes down here, I brought it to the bottom of this pipe right here. I know it's kind of hard to see. It comes up and the extra wire is spooled right here. And then that runs all the way along the engine. As you can see right here, the wires that's already existing. And that's gonna come to the back here. Let me see if I can get enough light in there. I don't know if I'm going to be able to. But hopefully that's kind of seeing how the finished area is. It really went together pretty well. One of the things that I will say is make sure you buy that adapter that goes up underneath here. I'll show you that later in the video. You'll need that. And then the adapter for the Garmin to go into the depth sounder on that part there. But overall, the install did go really well. One thing I will say is when installing the depth sounder in the bottom piece, and I'll discuss this, I started off with 5200, not realizing that it was more than a 24-hour cure time. So we switched it up to about a 5-minute epoxy cure time, which worked really well. Been out running it. It's getting great sound depths and readings off of it, and it's really been good. So we're pretty much good to go on that part. So when I finally put this on, I did have video, but apparently it was at nighttime and I can't really locate it right now because it's been a few months. But this top part here, this basically gets held in place by the actual bolts, and it all just runs on the back side there, coming down up underneath and running through. And like I said, there's a breather tube down behind that there. All right, continuing on with the install. I've already pulled this off, but all it is some Torx 30, so T30 bolts that are holding that in. You're just gonna unscrew this whole deck. It lifts right off. As you can tell, it's just sitting right there. To install the transducer, this is what it's gonna look like. And we've got our 20-degree pitch. And as you can tell, when we come right down in here, that's exactly where it's gonna go, is where that circle is at and the holes. All right, and the part that we are going to be using is the GT15M-IH transducer, and you will need this 12 to 8 pin connector to connect into the one that we've got going on here. You can pick this up. I think this was about $25. This was right at $180-ish. I got it on sale at the time for a little bit less, but we're going to get this done. All right, not going to product sponsor, but any type of degreaser. I just happen to have some Simple Green around. We're going to spray that area off, make sure that we got any type of material that would cause the 5200 not to seat down correctly done. When it goes on, the 20-degree slant will be this direction, matching in that way, so it will be flat on top with the 20-degree going down that way. All right, we're going to make sure you use one of our alcohol wipe pads. We're going to get the bottom that's going to be making contact. We're going to clean in between the grooves, and then we're going to get down in the ski also. And we're going to give this about 5-10 minutes to dry before we set it up. We'll put some newspaper up just to make sure we don't spill, and we're going to use 5200. All right, my tube was a little bit older, so harder to squeeze, but as you can tell, I've put a nice, decent coat on that. I'm going to go and stick that down. And as you can see, we've got that stuck down. We're going to let that dry. We want our temperatures within the guidance range. And afterwards, we're going to put the transducer on top and run the wire. So if you've got time to go and order the right part online, for about $9, you can get the Seadoo version of this that actually screws into there. I'm running out of time as we leave in 2 days, and they're not going to be able to get that part in stock, and I want this go ahead and put down. So we're going to use the JB weld, the marine weld. 2-part epoxy, as the instructions say. When I used the Garmin version, held it down, I noticed that the lines of the circle that are down in the actual ski, there was that middle bump. So I went ahead and I grinded those out and made it where when it sits down, you can feel that it kind of sits flush, and should make a better bond by doing that. You don't have to do that, but that's definitely the way I would suggest. If you have the time, spend the $9, get the one from Seadoo. But we've got it prepped. We are going to go ahead and wipe it all clean and get ready to mount that up. All right, to get this apart, there are 4 Torx bolts. One is here, one's here, there, and then down here. Once you remove those, this part here is just going to lift right up and out. We'll put that down to the side. And on this part here, you're just going to kind of get your fingers down below and up in the middle and just kind of give it a good pull upwards, and it's going to come right off. Then we're going to take that bolt off to get the mirror off. All right, using a 5/16, we're going to take out this bolt. I've already loosened it up. Once that comes out, this is going to be loose. It kind of goes up and out. Let me see if I can get this with one hand. There it goes. So as you can see, it kind of way it catches in right there, it just pulls out, and then that's going to give us our area to mount. All right, after we let the epoxy dry, we used the JB Weld marine weld version. We put it in, it set in about 5 minutes, dried in about an hour. I gave it a little bit extra time. After that, I came back, we filled it with the marine grade antifreeze that you use for boats and RVs. I put it in there, let it sit for about another hour. I checked around, made sure there's nothing leaking, and then we basically put this together. There's just an O-ring, and then it sits on top. The big thing is making sure that this arrow is facing your keel, and there's a arrow on the bottom of the plates. As you see right there, that small arrow, just to line everything up the way it is. And now we're going to run the wire according to the manufacturer, which is going to be up to the sides. And we've got that kind of tore apart. One thing, you will need to order a splitter. It basically splits it from a 1 to a 2. I bought the Seadoo one. It's coming. I've got to wait on it now. Hopefully I'll get that, be able to show you guys when it's in, but it splits. It did specifically note for if you have the sound system. With these, if you've got the sound system, I'm not sure if you can use that instead if you were in a pinch, because that is a 6-pin. And then the USB charger that we have in here, that does pull off this one. It's basically a splitter. It plugs into the factory one. And as you can tell from the wiring here, this is what we added in. So it takes from the 1 and splits it to a 2 anyways. This was originally plugged in on that to begin with. So we're just basically waiting. It'll do that again. It'll split it to a second one to give us the power to do the Garmin. All right, after pulling this part off, we're going to remove the bolt from right there. It was a 5/16. At that point, you can come to the top side, and right here you're going to pull off and out. And you can see kind of how that works. One of the other videos showed that you had to remove the mirror, and you do not have to. You can actually take this adapter part, and it's going to slide right on top of it, so you don't actually have to remove the mirror. Then we're going to put the bolts in up on the bottom side. All right, now this last bolt here is going to go, once we've installed this back on, it actually goes onto the jet ski side. I'll show you that later. This one's going to be on the top side, and then I'll show you the one down below. One thing you might run into if you purchased the Seadoo version, you're not going to have this adapter cable. You're only going to have this in here, and it will be able to come through right here and plug in. I went a little bit cheaper. I was able to get mine for about $150 for the transducer for the depth, but I had to buy the adapter. The way that comes out is this way. So for the transducer that I got for the $150, you got to get the $20 connection cable. This is just a little bit bigger than the hole is, so it's not going to go through. What I'm going to do is just take my Dremel tool and just kind of round some of these edges out to be able to get it to go through. All right, as you can see, I just came to this corner right here and just grinded out just a small amount, not much at all, and it was just enough to allow it to be pushed through, and we'll put this all back together. The nice part is when you are back and you pull your key, the GPS will shut off when this system shuts off. It loses power all at that same time, so you don't have to worry about it. If you were to do a lot of fishing, or you're going to want it to stay on, there might be a way to tie that in differently. I'm not sure, but as far as this is how the factory system does it on that part.